Behind the scenes, we are hearing that Donald Trump is increasingly displeased with having chosen JD Vance to be his running mate. JD Vance is a doormat, which is what Donald Trump wants, someone that he can walk all over. But he's already showing that he is cringe-worthily uncharismatic in every way. Vance and Trump sat down for their first joint interview with Fox News' Jesse Waters. It aired last night, and it's really, really bad. And before we dig into it in earnest, I actually want to play this very short clip, because by their own new standards, here is Donald Trump inciting violence.
If we don't win this election, we may never have another election. I'm telling you, this may be our last election.
Okay. They have been arguing now for 10 days since the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. They've been arguing that saying things like, democracy depends on this election. Trump is a threat to democracy. Vote for, then it was Biden, now it's Harris. Vote for Biden or Harris to preserve democracy. They argue that that led to a Republican shooting at Donald Trump. It's idiotic, but it's what they're claiming. But here is Trump saying the exact same thing. If I don't win, this could be the final election we ever have. Their standard that they generated since the assassination attempt of Donald Trump identifies that sort of claim as an incitement to violence. But of course, they don't really believe that. It's just they say it when they see it as a way to attack the left, and otherwise they don't care. Now let's get into some of the more thick and meaty parts of this completely bogus interview gone outrageously wrong. Trump argues, sort of, if you can understand him, and even JD Vance seems, you know how Trump sometimes seems visibly confused by the things he's saying? Well, throughout this interview, JD Vance is visibly confused by the things Donald Trump is saying. Here's Trump saying something about Secret Service detail and security failure.
Did we have enough people? Why didn't we have enough people? Somebody said that a lot of people were put on Biden's detail. The problem is Biden doesn't draw anybody. He draws flies. He draws nobody. And, you know, you don't need.
See that forced laugh there by JD Vance? Oh, my goodness. This, you know, everything they try to throw at the left comes back at them. And their new criticism, it's not a new criticism. Their revitalized criticism of Kamala Harris is that she laughs in a weird way, that she cackles. Now, this is funny in general, because if anyone's heard Tucker Carlson laugh, it's not exactly something to write home about. But JD Vance now, at a rally he held yesterday and during this interview, his forced laugh isn't exactly a pleasure to hear or see.
He doesn't draw anybody. He draws flies. He draws nobody. And, you know, you don't need very many people for that, because he does not draw. He'll have 30 people show up, and we have 55, 60,000 people show up.
Right. And JD Vance, just look at him laughing there, just absolutely loves it. He's really playing the doormat. You know, Republicans for a while love to use the term NPC, non-player characters, sort of a reference to these background characters in video games that just react and behave in exactly the same way, no matter what it is that's happening in the game. JD Vance really epitomizes that. Now, Trump actually admits during this interview that for a while, JD was not the right guy for Trump. And what he's alluding to is the years and years and years of JD Vance criticizing Trump. And to be honest, they were pretty good criticisms. But then Trump basically says, now he's the doormat that I need.
Why did you pick JD Vance?
We've always had a good chemistry. And originally, JD was probably not for me, but he didn't know me. And then when we got to know each other, he liked me maybe more than anybody liked me. And he would stick up for me, and he'd fight for the worker as much as I fight for the worker. We just had an automatic chemistry.
It was just an automatic chemistry. It was like love at first sight, except for the fact that JD Vance spent 6 years attacking me in some of the most aggressive ways, including analogizing me to Hitler. But it was just chemistry. You know it when you feel it. I felt a tingle down my leg. Trump giving us his version of that. And then maybe the funniest part, whenever Trump has to pretend he's read anything, is one of the funniest and most awkward moments simultaneously. And here is Trump pretending to know about JD Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy. And we all know Trump doesn't read. When he was asked about his favorite Bible passage, when he was asked about his favorite books, anytime Trump has to pretend like he's ever read a book in his adult life, it gets awkward. And it gets awkward here.
And he wrote a book which was a classic, as you know, and it was all about the working men and women and how they aren't being treated fairly, and he was right about that, and I understood that maybe better than anyone else, and we just have had a great relationship.
Trump has not had to work a day in his entire life, and he wants us to believe that he and JD Vance are united in understanding the plight and strife of the average worker, despite the fact that not JD Vance, but Trump has spent his entire life trying to remain isolated and insulated from the very workers he claims to represent. Now, if you think the JD Vance Trump joint interview on Fox News was bad, just wait until you see JD Vance's first big boy rally last night. For years now, I have been using a Ridge wallet. I've had a Ridge wallet at this point way before they became a sponsor. They are celebrating their 11th anniversary. A Ridge wallet can hold up to 12 cards plus your cash, and it stays flat and comfortable in your pocket. So much slimmer than anything I've used. I don't want to throw my back off kilter like happened to George Costanza with one of those oversized wallets. So this is great. You can choose from over 30 colors and styles, including ceramic powder and leather. It was designed with RFID blocking materials to protect you from any digital thievery. And Ridge even gives you the option of adding a little AirTag strap to the wallet, so you'll never lose it again. Ridge also offers awesome key cases, which can be used to secure 1 to 6 keys and, importantly, prevent the keys from jingling. Ridge has over 3 million customers, over 100,000 5-star reviews. It's the wallet I've been using for years now. And if you don't love your Ridge product, you can send it back for a full refund up to a full year after you buy it. Comes, of course, with a lifetime warranty because of the extra durable material. Go to ridge.com/Pacman and use code Pacman for 10% off. The link is down below.